Nigga got money. I told you this, nigga.
In business, the goal is for you to become independent and be the boss, take the responsibility, and also get the profit.
I ain't got no motherfucking boss.
SP motherfucking I.
Hey, Pookie, you clean yourself up, man. Maybe I'll give you a job.
All right, man. Yo, man, you want to buy a turkey?
SP motherfucking I.
Oh, wow.
The freedom bell ring got me flying like a free, flying like an eagle. Let's go! Free! Let's go!
I mean, discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. Doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. That is a great quote.
I told you this, nigga.
We are better than you niggas. We are better than you niggas.
You ain't nobody.
We are better than you niggas.
You're so dumb.
We are better than you niggas.
You ain't shit.
We are better than you niggas.
You ain't shit.
We are better than you niggas.
You ain't nobody.
We are better than you niggas.
You're so dumb.
We are better than you niggas.
You ain't nobody.
We are better than you niggas.
Wow.
We are better than you niggas. We are better than you niggas. We are better than you niggas. We are better than you niggas.
You're so dumb.
You ain't nobody. You ain't shit. We don't claim you.
SP motherfucking I.
These niggas can't touch us.
I want all the cars. I want all my niggas with the cars. I want all the hoes. I want all the jewelry. We popping bottles.
Stay the fuck away from these hoes, the dumb motherfuckers. Like, god damn.
Tell them to shut up.
You ain't black.
You know, and my daughters, you know what they're being taught to be? Wives and mothers. Oh, you want to be ignorant. No, college is what makes you stupid.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Ain't nobody slinging no dick in here but Big Daddy, because he's the only one paying bills. Right.
Yo, been a minute. Oh snap, I hit the wrong button. Anyway, been a minute. Damn, I almost forgot how to stream, man. The original stream king, you know what I'm saying? We here, nigga. But anyway, shout out everybody. Shout out to you. And I made this stream because I had watched this, well, parts of this presentation, and it's just mind-boggling, you know, the things that's going on as far as where our dollars, you know, are going, and what they're doing with them. You got to understand they ramping up enforcement with IRS, and they really gonna come for your pockets because they messing up the money real bad in the federal government, brother. They messing it up, and they gonna come for your pockets, man. It's a lot of unsettling things going on in the federal government. It's gonna affect us. It's gonna affect Americans. And it seems like what they're trying to do is just take as much money from the American citizens as possible and give those resources to everybody else but the people who are American citizens. It's crazy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. We're going to try to do three things tonight. One, I'm going to spend a few minutes sort of talking about folklore. I've tried this a couple times. It hasn't worked, but, you know, hope springs eternal. Sort of walk through some of the comments you get and try to explain, and maybe they're bots, maybe they're made up, but what reality is. The second thing, we're going to walk through the borrowing numbers off the Treasury's website.
This is what I really want to focus on, is the numbers that the government is giving, showing us what's going on with our money, that, you know, the tax money, the borrowed money, just all of this stuff, man. That's the meat of the potatoes that I want to get to, and how that's going to impact us, our currency, our benefits. And bottom line, I want to look at me when I'm talking to you. If you are depending on the federal government, you a stupid motherfucker. Because I wouldn't want to be dependent on them. But anyway, let's go.
So they're up to date on what's actually happening, and I need to do it over and over and over and over, because I'm trying to get this place to understand how fast the numbers are moving away from us. And number three, we're going to do some thought experiments. I'm going to show you some ideas and technology that actually could fairly substantially change the borrowing and debt curve.
And, you know, I got something. Let's get rid of most of the government. You know, because most of the government, I mean, all of these other government agencies, where are they in the Constitution? There's no CIA in the Constitution. There's no FBI. There's no NIH. There's no CDC. You know, all of these people who are exerting all of this authority over us. You know, who sent us in the house and told us we couldn't come out the house? Who tried to force a needle on us? CDC, NIH. Where they at in the Constitution? Our Constitution gave us the Congress, the President, the Supreme Court. Where all these other people come from that's claiming authority over us? I ain't reading nothing about no IRS up in there.
Okay, first off, for some of the folks last week, I appreciate like that. It once again shows you're not willing to understand the scale. 90. The cover's trying to make the point is centric, but you see their cover. The cover's trying to make the point is we have actually a remarkably healthy economy considering all the stupid that's gone on.
Okay. That's the propaganda. Whenever the, you know, the media is now, what, the legacy media is now tools of the propaganda arm of the federal government. So if the media is telling you everything's good, that means that's what the government wants you to think. So he's going to get down to the numbers.
Yet, what does it mean to you when magazines like this are actually doing covers saying, well, the amazing American economy, it's still growing, and yet at the same time, last week I was here and told you we were borrowing over 95,000 a second. Now it's no longer 95,000. It's 98, I think 300 a second. If we try a little harder, maybe we'll get over 100,000 a second. If you go over the last 365 days, as of today, we're borrowing over 98,000 a second. And almost every dime of that growth in borrowing is interest and different types of health care. And yet, when we look at these, I keep trying, sorry. I keep trying to explain over and over.
Interest in healthcare. We're borrowing to pay interest. Who are we paying interest to? I mean, I don't completely understand everything, but interest. If you personally manage your personal finances the way that the federal government manages their finances, you'd be bankrupt really quickly. If I ran my business the way they ran the federal government, I'd be in bankruptcy quickly. So I really like the breakdown that this guy gives.
Over and over, every dime. So think of this as just, and this is a more update version. So here's what we call discretionary. You see there in the blue or purple, whatever that color is, about half of that's defense. About half of that is everything you think of as government. It's the FBI, it's the Park Service, it's everything else. It's other than mandatory earned benefits. Every dime a member of Congress votes on is borrowed.
Come on, man.
All discretionary is borrowed. And we're heading towards a time where we may actually see, and this is off, if we actually get close to 2.8 trillion and all discretionary is about 2, start thinking that. When you start having another $800 billion of Medicare, of things of that nature borrowed, shouldn't that actually start to create a little sense of stress, panic? Are we going to continue to play the game around here where the left lies saying, we can raise taxes, and then we do stupid things like, well, if we got rid of foreign aid, yes, it would take care of a whole week or so of borrowing. What I'm asking for is to think with a calculator. We have to change policies in a big-time way to save this country. And it's going to be complex. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to read and read and read and understand. But there is hope. I can show you over and over. I've come to this floor and said, if you do these things, you can crash the price of healthcare. If you adopt these technologies, you can crash the price of this government. And yet these hallways around here are full of people that they're not here to help us cut spending. They're here to help us, but actually help themselves. They want money. They want to either defend their bureaucracies or they want to defend their business models, and they use Congress as a barrier to entry. So let's walk through some more of this. Hand that to you. So one of my other frustrations is, how do you plan? So last May, when we were supposed to be building the 2024 budget, a year ago May, and we're going to vote on some of the rest of it this week, which shows you how dysfunctional we've been, but we were too busy trying to get rid of a speaker. And think of this. In that time, we were fighting over like $16 billion. We're borrowing about $9 billion a day. So we've gone how many months, and we never got around to actually working on the real problems because the theatrics are around here. So the Congressional Budget Office last year said, hey, we may only borrow $1.744 billion. And I like to use gross numbers instead of publicly borrowed. And over here, when you borrow from the trust funds, because you got to pay them back, and we do pay interest to the trust funds. So when you borrow out of Social Security, borrow out of the Medicare Part A trust fund, when you borrow out of transportation, we do borrow that money right out, goes to Treasury, goes out the door, and then we give them sort of Treasury note IOUs with interest. And then OMB, Office of Management and Budget, last June said, hey, we're only going to borrow $1.988 trillion in the 2024 fiscal year. And that bottom number is just what we've already borrowed to date, which if you work it out per month, you're looking at a number of 2.8, 2.9 trillion. How do we keep missing the number by $1 trillion?
These numbers are like, it's almost to the point that they don't even seem real. It's like fake numbers. even though these are numbers he's getting from, government reporting, they have to report publicly how much money they're borrowing and all of that stuff. And already this year they've borrowed 1 point something trillion dollars. So I think they're gonna take in 1 point something trillion in tax revenues, and they're gonna borrow damn near 3 trillion. So what if you had a $300,000 lifestyle, you made 100,000 and you borrowed 200,000 year after year, and now your debt, you're borrowing, because he said earlier they're borrowing to pay interest in healthcare. So now, I mean, for most of us, our biggest expense is our biggest monthly expense that we pay out of our pockets is our housing expense, mortgage, rents. Just imagine if your biggest bill was your credit card bill. You making 100,000, you paying 6,000 a month in credit card bills, 2,000 rent, 1,000 other stuff. That's you be in bad financial situation. And not just that, then you're gonna borrow another 200,000. So next year your credit card bill is gonna be even higher. This is what the U.S. federal government is doing financially and fiscally to us, and we owe that money. I think we owe like 100 and something thousand per citizen or some crazy number. And they keep ramping up. Then they're talking about 100 billion for Ukraine, 115, 10, 20 billion for Israel. We're gonna have to pay to help destroy Ukraine. If it costs 100 billion to fight the war, it's gonna cost another 100, 200 billion to rebuild Ukraine, which we're gonna say, hey, we'll do that. We'll pay for that. We'll pay for that. We got these people they call citizens. We'll just tax the shit out of them. We'll tax them. They'll pay. Don't worry. Just how much you need? You need another 100 billion, Zelensky? Don't worry. We got a whole bunch of people back home working. And we just take more of their money that they out their checks.
Is that part of the scam? Is that part of the game? Is say, hey, we're going to give a number of prediction, and that's what all the talking heads on television, radio, and the newspapers and the really diligent press around here fixate on, because it's in their little book, and they're not paying attention that every day, that first board I showed you can go onto the Treasury's website and do the math yourself.
Shout out my man D. Novinsky.
And see where we're actually at. And part of one of the drivers is nothing you get to vote on here. It is the continuation of rising interest rates. So I've had to adjust this. And understand, today's 10 years, I think, was at 4.3. So this is the blend interest rate, which means, let's see if I can make this make sense. So you have a country with about $34.5 trillion of borrowing. But it's really closer to 27, 28 trillion is sold to the public. The rest of that is borrowed internally. What is sold to the public has a couple factors on it. It's duration. Hey, they sold a 6 month, they sold a 1 year, they sold a 5 year, they sold a 10 year, they sold a 30 year. These are bonds, these are notes, these are paper. There's just, different names for the different durations.
Now, understand, remember when I think it was one of them banks, I forgot those banks that went out of business. Something bank, this bank, that bank. Buying those the government required them to hold their reserves in these long treasuries or whatever, the stuff he's talking about now. And then when the interest rates went up, everybody wanted short term. So the ones that they was holding in long term, lost all their value. This is so the federal government actually destroyed these banks by having these guidelines forcing them to hold this crap. They held it, and then when the rates went up, they went bankrupt because now the assets they was holding as reserve. You know what I'm saying? That's like the government says, hey, you gotta hold some crypto coin, some shit coin as your reserve. So all the money you got saved up in the bank, you gotta hold a shit coin. Now the shit coin goes down by 90% because of what they did. And now they say, oh shit, you bankrupt. They made you bankrupt. They did this to the banks.
And some were sold years ago when interest rates were basically close to zero. This year, in the 2024 year, with the new issuances of bonds because of our current borrowing, and then the refinancing of old, there's about $10 trillion that gets subject to the new interest rates. So as bonds are rolling off, and then you saw when we had that stressed bond auction, what was it, last November, where the market makers had to buy 24% of it? And a couple of weeks later, Treasury rolls out and says, hey, maybe we're just going to start selling shorter on the curve, because at least that way we know we have the demand, but yes, we're going to pay higher premiums on it. So every couple of weeks, we get the calculation of what our interest load is, and it keeps ticking up on us. And I'm going to show a couple boards here. And look, interest on outstanding debt, the non-negotiable is the debt internally. Publicly held is right now about 3.259 and may continue to tick up as they go shorter on the curve. I know this is geeky. If you don't like math, please go watch something else. But we're selling more and more of our debt short because there's demand there, but that interest, we are paying a premium. And then you want to know why the debt and borrowing keeps going up. It's about how we're financing. And what that ends up creating is this situation here where my predictions, and I'll take responsibility if I'm wrong, because understand my darkness is about $800 billion to almost $1 trillion over what our Congressional Budget Office says, what Office of Management Budget said, but so far I've been right. I also look at it every single day where they put out a number and then several months go by. We're right now on track for coming in over 2.8 trillion borrowing. And remember, I just showed you an economic magazine saying, wow, isn't it amazing how healthy the U.S. economy is? How do you borrow close to $3 trillion? That's a gross number. That's both publicly borrowed and internal borrowing. How do you borrow close to $3 trillion when the economy is good? Need you to think about this, because tax collections are not that far off from the historical average. When we've had very high marginal rates, when we've had very low marginal rates, we're...
See, now you notice that, like, when the look, I'm trying to depoliticize myself and make it less about Democrat, Republican, Trump, Biden, stuff like that. But have you ever noticed that, like, when the Democrats come to the black people, because Republicans don't even bother to come, which I understand. They're very, blacks traditionally are very hostile to Republicans in America. So when the Democrat comes to your church, he don't never talk about this stuff. How much they borrowing, the bonds, the financial situation, the inflation rates. They're gonna talk to the stupid ass women about abortion. He's taking your rights, the damn abortion. And it's my body, my choice. Anything to get you mad. But what's making you see all of these charts and deficits is how they stealing the money. So they don't want to talk about that. This is how they stealing the money and People like Obama is giving it to these rich, connected people and hooking them up with deals and paying it out to federal government. Then when he get out the office, he go get a big $100 million Netflix deal where he ain't got no kind of talent. He ain't doing shit that's interested. He don't give a damn about nothing. He got his big house on Martha's Vineyard and his other house in Hawaii and his land and his playing tennis with DiCaprio, and he doing that type of shit. He's setting himself up to get hooked up. So when the Democrats come to your black church and be talking about Trump's a racist and they're trying to set back voting rights, you need to be telling them,
Get the fuck out my face with that bullshit. No. Stop it.
and you tell them, show me the numbers. Show me the money. Let me see the money. What y'all doing with the bonds? Why this deficit so high? What's up with Social Security? I don't give a damn about these social issues. And get these goddamn migrants up out of here. I don't want to pay for them. They ain't gonna tell you nothing about this stuff right here.
Always there about that 17.5, 18.5, sometimes as high as 19% of the economy comes in as taxes. Does this let you know there's something structural out there? And it's the dirty little secret that we all know, but we're afraid to say because it gets us unelected. We tell the truth about where the drivers are. 100% of U.S. borrowing from today through the next 30 years will be interest, healthcare, and if 8 or 9 years when the Social Security Trust Fund is emptied out and we decide whether we're going to let the immorality of doubling senior poverty in America, seniors taking a 25% cut, or do we backfill it with general fund revenues? And if we do that, those three things are 100% of the borrowing for the next 30 years. Everything else is modeled to be pretty flat. Matter of fact, general fund and related to discretionary actually has a slightly positive over the 30 years. We got old. It's demographics. We're not supposed to say that around here because we might hurt someone's feelings, but understand, and I brought the charts here a couple weeks ago with the update on fertility rates. In 15 years, this country has more deaths than births. What are we doing to plan for that? What are we doing to plan for the reality?
You know what they doing? All them damn migrants at the border. All the migrants in the migrant camps. That's what they doing about that. Get you out of here. Don't want you to have no babies, but they'll help you finance an abortion, and they'll fight for that abortion. But what about why? If you fight for abortion, why y'all don't have free fertility clinics to help couples conceive and all that stuff? Where's that at? Planned Parenthood is everywhere. Where the fertility clinics that's funded by the government? They ain't gonna help you pay for your IVF. They want you dead and they want less of you.
We're heading towards a time where we're going to have about 2.3, 2.4 workers for every person in retirement on Social Security. We know it's coming. It's not a black swan. It's what they nickname a white swan. It means you see it and you still don't do anything about it because we're too busy knifing each other with rhetoric that doesn't make mathematical sense because it's good politics. And now we've done the updates again, and our latest update is no longer this year fitting just interest in this year. I'm going to say this in a way where I get it fairly accurate. Our latest model says interest in the 2024 fiscal year will be $1,076 billion. When I came here a couple months ago and said, we could be heading for $1 trillion, I got mocked by even some of my colleagues. Schweiger, you got to stop making things up. Well, turns out I'm right. But, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, why don't we take it seriously? We sit here and fight over, it's real money we fight over, but in the same day, we will spend all day fighting over a few million here, which is important, and I'm fine. I'm willing to cut these things. But we're picking up pennies off the ground as the avalanche is crushing us.
$1 trillion in interest. $1 trillion. Let me look up how much money we actually taking from tax receipts. Let me get that number real quick. U.S. tax receipts. Okay. So in 2023, the federal government collected 4.44 trillion. Okay. So if we're approaching a My apologies, fellas. My apologies, man. I don't know what the hell my streaming computer, my internet just went out real quick. It does that sometimes. So, but anyway, yeah, man. We're gonna be paying out of $4.4 trillion in income. We're gonna be paying $1 trillion in interest. Strictly interest. He said interest. He didn't say interest and principal. Interest. This thing knocked my little video out too. Hold on, let me get this right here. Go grab that video file again.
And understand, today's later, Treasury rolls out and says, hey, maybe if I'm wrong. Because understand, my darkness is about $800 billion to almost $1 trillion over. Go watch something else. Close to $3 trillion, that's a gross number. See, the U.S. economy is, how do you borrow close to coming in over what our Congressional Budget Office says, what Office of Management Budget said. But so far, I've been right. I also look at it every single day where they put out a number and then several months go by. We're right now on track for coming in over 2.8 trillion borrowing. And remember, I just coming in over two.
You see that? You see what it says? We missed our projections by $1 trillion. And there's people, this is the thing. There's people in the background, the people that control the politicians, the people that's really blood sucking the economy, the people like the people in the defense industry, people like that. Those people watch the numbers and then they can plan how much to suck out. So say, okay, they're gonna make 4.4 trillion. We got to get at least 25% of that. Go start a war, go bomb somebody, go do this, so we can suck off the government. You know what I'm saying? At our expense. The little working, schmucks. They getting tens and hundreds of billions of dollars off us schmucks, man. Not only are they taking the money we bring in, they're borrowing money to pay these guys and sticking us with the bill for a bunch of crap. How did we benefit from the $1 trillion that was spent in Afghanistan? Did we get any new airports, hospitals, roads, schools, any type of reductions? God, what's this at my goddamn door? Hold up, let me pull this up. I can't stand motherfucker knocking on my door, man. I got to pull up my cameras because I don't just go to my door. Let's see what this porch is. Oh, hold up. This is the UPS. Y'all got to hold on, brothers. Hold on. Do not like these niggas at my door. My pockets, nah.
Again with the money? Yeah, again with the money.
God damn, look at my pockets now. Started my own business. I done blew up for realists. Stacks coming in every day. On foreign islands is where the fuck I stay. Fucking foreign bitches, they be cooking, they be fucking, they be sucking. Man, it isn't nothing. I'm the motherfucking shit. Bitch, without you, I'm set free. I'm so damn high. You got to look up on the sky, cause I'm on a plane, that's why. To an international destination with no hesitation. Got bitches waiting at reception with invitations with my name on it, goddammit. I done turned my life to the shit. And guess what? I didn't need no motherfucking bitch.
You got left!
SP motherfucking I.
Okay, y'all. I thought Biden had sent the goons at me, man. I thought Joe sent the goons on me. That quick. Heard my live stream. But actually, I forgot my CPA said she was gonna send me a gift. So I got a nice bottle of wine that the FedEx man just dropped off. So it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, man, this is what's going on, man. This is what's up with the U.S. government fiscally, man.
0.8 trillion borrowing, and remember, I just showed you an economic magazine saying, "Wow, isn't it amazing how healthy the U.S. economy is? How do you borrow close to $3 trillion? That's a gross number. That's both publicly borrowed and internal borrowing. How do you borrow close to $3 trillion when the economy is good?" Need you to think about this, because tax collections are not that far off from the historical average. When we've had very high marginal rates, when we've had very low marginal rates, we're always there about that 17.5, 18.5, sometimes as high as 19% of the economy comes in as taxes. Does this let you know there's something structural out there? And it's the dirty little secret that we all know, but we're afraid to say because it gets us unelected. We tell the truth about where the drivers are. 100% of U.S. borrowing from today through the next 30 years will be interest, healthcare, and if 8 or 9 years when the Social Security Trust Fund is emptied out and we decide whether we're going to let the immorality of doubling senior poverty in America, seniors taking a 25% cut, or do we backfill it with general fund revenues? And if we do that, those three things are 100% of the borrowing for the next 30 years. Everything else is modeled to be pretty flat. Matter of fact, general fund and related to discretionary actually has a slightly positive over the 30 years.
I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke. I can't eat.
I brought the charts here a couple weeks ago with the update on fertility rates. In 15 years, this country has more deaths than births. What are we doing to plan for that? What are we doing to plan for the reality? We're heading towards a time where we're going to have about 2.3, 2.4 workers for every person in retirement on Social Security. We know it's coming. It's not a black swan. It's what they nickname a white swan. It means you see it and you still don't do anything about it because we're too busy knifing each other with rhetoric that doesn't make mathematical sense because it's good politics. And now we've done the updates again, and our latest update is no longer this year fitting just interest in this year. I want to say this in a way where I get it fairly accurate. Our latest model says interest in the 2024 fiscal year will be $1,076 billion. When I came here a couple months ago and said we could be heading for $1 trillion, I got mocked by even some of my colleagues. Stryker, you got to stop making things up. Well, turns out I'm right. But, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, why don't we take it seriously? We sit here and fight over, it's real money we fight over, but in the same day, we will spend all day fighting over a few million here, which is important, and I'm fine. I'm willing to cut these things. But we're picking up pennies off the ground as the avalanche is crushing us. Because that same day we fought over those millions, we borrowed $8, $9 billion a day when we're fighting over millions. And understand, millions has a lot of different, a trillion has 12 zeros. Start to work your zeros and understand the scale. So, I just put up this slide just because this is our prediction slide, but also to make another point. Here's how spending will work this year, just so people understand the hierarchy. Social Security, we expect $1.45 trillion to go out the door. This is an earned benefit. You worked in America, you paid your FICA tax. If you worked your 40 quarters, you maxed out, but you earned this. The next biggest spend in your government isn't coming from a running tax and trust fund, it's borrowing. And both net and gross. The difference there, once again, is net is just the interest we pay out the door to people who bought our bonds. Gross is also because we owe interest to Social Security and Medicare and all the other trust funds. Both are coming in as the second biggest expense in the U.S. government. Number 3, Medicare. Number 4 is now defense. How many people, if you and I walked down the street and said, hey, what's the number 1 spend in the U.S. government? What's the number 2? Would they say interest is the number 2 expense in this government? And if you think interest rates are about to crash down to where they were the last decade, remember the last decade was a fantasy. We're just now getting back. If you take a look, if you remove sort of the previous decade with the value of money manipulation and interest rates, if you remove that, look at the 35-year average. We're not even high enough to be in the 35-year average yet.
This is why everybody's sitting out there thinking interest rates are high. Interest rates haven't even, what he's saying is they haven't normalized yet. So all of you good people who are smart or just dumb luck like me, who went out there and got mortgages like I did for 2.5 2.75 like I did, it's probably not going to be seen again in our lifetime. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity, like buying Bitcoin at, $5. It's not coming back. The rates haven't normalized to the 35-year averages. They're still below normal. Those rates should be at like 9%, 11%. People bought homes at 9 and 11%. People still gonna buy them. Those, as he said, money manipulated, artificially low interest rates. You should have, if you was gonna buy a house, you should have bought it in because this is the thing. Like I said before, I bought my house and it cost $415,000 at 2.75%. So at that time, the housing market was insane. I bought my house locking the low interest rates. 3 years later, if you got great credit, you'll probably get a 7%. And the $415,000 house is now $615,000. So when they increase the rates, they expect the prices to drop because now the money costs more. So it's less housing. No, the prices are still going up because they've borrowed so much money and inflated the money and raising rates at the same time. They made so much and they borrowed so much money that even increasing the rates didn't stop the prices from going up. This is how much screwed we are. This is how much screwed we are. And they keep telling you the rates are going to go down. The rates are going to go up. I mean, for the first time, the United States credit rating is down. Other people are making other SWIFT systems. You got the BRICS coming up. This is why the stock market keeps flying. Nobody really wants to hold. You can't hold dollars. I'm trying to tell people don't hold the dollars. This is why crypto, gold, real estate, anything that's not a dollar is going to go up, including housing prices and rates. So just like rent is like $3,000, and to get a basic place in a lot of places, mortgage is going to be $3,000, $4,000. And another thing that's preventing the fall in housing prices is 44% of all U.S. home sales were bought by large corporations, funds, billions of dollars. Soon as something come on the market, I got people writing me, calling me, begging me to buy my house. They got a client that wants my house. The same lady that sold me my house trying to buy my house back from me. How you like living here? I was like, I love it. I love it. One of my better decisions. Then I got a letter from the lady in the mail. We got a client want to buy your house. Probably a corporate client that wants to pay a lot more for it than what it's worth. Housing prices ain't going down, bro. They ain't going. It's too much. It's too much upward pressure. If the people ain't there to buy it, the funds will buy it. They'll buy your house from you and rent it back to you at high rent, and they'll make their money. They'll pay the rate. The rate 7%, good. They know the rate gonna be 9%. They know the mortgage is gonna be high. They'll buy this and lock this rate in and rent it to you. They're gonna make their money anyway. And the same house you was living in, they're gonna rent it back to you, and you would have paid it off. Now you ain't never gonna pay it off. You're gonna be paying rent to the day you damn die. You're a serf. You're a rentier. You had your look. You had your chance to get into the ownership class. If you didn't take advantage of your opportunity to get into the ownership class over the last decade, you about to be a serf. And that's how the rich prosper. The most prosperous time for business people in America was slavery. The best serfs, give them a shack and give them some work to do to make you rich. And they spent their whole lives toiling to make you rich. It ain't nothing different than a debt serf. You're gonna be a rent serf. You're gonna be making your landlord rich. You ain't gotta work for him, but you're gonna be bringing him a lot of that money you earning. You a serf, and you probably stuck. The dummies that can't figure out how to make, look, you gotta increase your income 10% a year just not to go in the hole. You're gonna be 50% poorer 5 years from now. So the few people who know how to make money, like me, I got my soldiers on the block right now in new markets. We rotating. We got a whole new city. We taking over as we speak. You hear these bing, bing. These are new stores, marketing. I'm paying him to market to go get me new stores in new markets. We targeted several new markets, and some of our markets that we targeted 6 months ago starting to pay off. So I know I gotta, just to keep up, I gotta get 10% more money every year. To get ahead, I gotta get more than 10%. So I'm trying to grow 20, 30% a year. Just to not get poor. 10% keeps me from not getting poor. Above 10% makes me get richer. Most people is sitting on a job, they're not gonna give you 10% a year. You're gonna get poorer. You're gonna be a serf. You're gonna be paying rent.
The fantasy has to come to an end here. This is reality. And this is one of my continuing frustrations, is I keep looking like CBO. We try to work with them. They do their best. They have to operate with, hey, here's the GDP growth they expected. Here's where Treasury tells them what receipts are going to come in. We call tax revenues receipts. That's the proper term. And then, but over and over and over, we keep missing the numbers. And when you start missing your numbers by $1 trillion, makes the job a little tricky when the people you rely on, the data you rely on, because we missed how high interest rates. Remember last
That mean they lying to you.
October, everyone, Fed's going to start cutting. And inflation the last 2 months really hasn't gone down. This isn't a non sequitur, it ties in. We suffer inflation because we spent too much money. Even the left-wing academic studies from last year, which wanted to blame supply chain, had that as part of it, but some of them said as much as half was supply chain. Some said it's only about 40%, but supply chains are fixed. Here we are a couple years later. How are we still running hot again? We are paying the price for spending money in ways that did not actually spike productivity. When you subsidize things, do you get the most efficient, the cheapest, the best way to produce them? It doesn't work that way. You need to make it so there's a level of competition that the best, fastest product and the reinvestment in your capital. So it's the difference between supply side and sort of the Keynesian investments. And now you've seen both. You saw productivity gains with the tax reform, and now you've seen what happened with inflation reduction, where you got inflation. And now the last 2 months, it hasn't been going down the way it's supposed to. So expect these interest rates I just showed you to continue. And if you live in my neighborhood, if you live in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area, wonderful area, absolutely incredibly beautiful this time of year, and from January 21 till last month, actually 2 months ago, if you're not making 23.6% more, you are poorer today than you were in that January 21. You want to know why people are cranky?
See what I'm saying, brothers? See what I'm saying? He said if you ain't making 20% more, you are poorer. If you don't have control over your income, I'm very blessed and fortunate. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you. Big homie, thank you. That at least I have control. There's things that I can do That's why it bothers me so much, because I know what it's like to be a working schmuck. I can't go in my boss's office and demand 10% a year. If you got a job, you just can't do it. And it's unfair. These people are stealing money. They're making themselves rich by loading the federal government with debt, which is your debt and my debt, us taxpayers, forcing them to print more money to get stuff that doesn't increase productivity and bring more wealth to the country. So Afghanistan, 20 years in Afghanistan was negative 1 trillion to us as Americans. Plus interest. It was all borrowed to make some guys in defense industry and stuff like that rich. So you got to make 20% more, or you're getting poorer. 10% a year. He says since 21, it's 24. It's early 24. So that's really 2 years and some change. You got to make 20% more, or you got poorer. He talked about subsidies. Do subsidies increase productivity and efficiency? Well, does welfare make welfare queens more productive and efficient? No, it stagnates them. Subsidies stagnates. And they're subsidizing all the wrong things and making us poorer. And so if they weren't doing this, me growing by 10%, 20%, I'd be getting way richer, way faster. I gotta work harder and pay more and put my people hard and slave drive them and press them. Get out there on the block. Here's your money. Go out there, markets, new stores, push. If I was doing this back in 2015, I'd be getting way richer. Now I'm just getting a little bit richer because they're inflating me and they're gonna raise my taxes, and it's harder to stay richer now. They're making everybody poorer, even the upper income people.
Understand how many of our brothers and sisters around the country, particularly in the working class, you are poor today. In my area, if you're not making 23.6% more than that January 21 date, you are poorer today.
The increase in my house price, I'll do a calculation. My mortgage was like $1,750 a month on my $415,000 house. Now my house is $610,000, and you can't get my 2.75. You're gonna get a 7. So for you to get the exact same thing that I bought 3 years ago, you do this mortgage interest calculator. Mortgage payment calculator. Okay, so they setting the 30. They showing me a 30-year fix at 7.45. So if you buy this, Zillow says 610. So 610 times 0.2. That's 100. You gotta see. I only had to come up with 83,000. You got to come up with 122,000 to get your 20%. You got to come up with 122,000. Now that's hard to do for most people. Then we're gonna put a negative on that, plus 610,000. So you're gonna have to actually finance 488,000, whereas I only had to finance 320,000. Okay, so your loan amount gonna be same house now, 488,000. Now my mortgage monthly payment, and this ain't including taxes and fees. So this you could probably have to add another 100 or 200 onto this. So, well, I can add the taxes in. I'm gonna add all of that in. Okay, so my taxes is about $38.50, and I think my insurance is like it's like 1,000. I think it was 1,000. I'm gonna just say 1,000 divided by 12. Damn, that's $404. So just principal and interest. Where I was paying all together, I was paying $1,700. With just principal and interest, for you to buy my house now today, just principal and interest, you're gonna be paying $3,300, $3,382 plus. Okay, so my mortgage was $1,750. Your mortgage will be $3,786. That's gonna be your mortgage. Tell me you ain't poor, because it's the same damn house. Tell me you're not poor. Tell me you can afford less. Now, if you want to spend $415,000, you better go get one of them little townhouses, them connected house. I got an acre of land, front yard, nice big backyard, pretty scenery, deers, and all kind of stuff. I got. You gonna get a damn townhouse for what I paid for this. This is how they're making us poorer. This is why you're gonna be 50% poorer 5 years from now. You're gonna be 50% poorer if you don't get control of your own income and when you have the power to raise your income at your own hand. You're gonna be 50% poorer.
And look, if you want to go down the rabbit hole, part of the idea, understand how many of our brothers and sisters around the country, particularly in the working class, you are poor today. In my area, if you're not making 23.6% more than that January 21 date, you are poorer today. And look, if you want to go down the rabbit hole, part of the idea of stabilizing debt, when someone says, we're going to go pay it all off, really? Let's see, the debt basically equals the entire size of this economy. Just the debt. You're going to go pay it off? From an economic standpoint, right now, be joyful if we could just stabilize it. That means the growth of the debt can only grow as fast as we are being productive as a society, as the growth of this economy. But right now, you have a problem. In 2023, at that time, and this is publicly held debt, this isn't my gross debt, we borrowed $2.6 trillion from the public, and the estimate is the economy grew about 1.5. But it's that delta that kills you until you squeeze those two back together. So you only grow debt at the pace you grow the economy. That's stability. And then maybe you can get some more discipline, adoption of technologies and better ways to do things, and you start to separate those so you can start to pay down that principal.
Look, we could pay off the debt. We could pay off the debt. That little stuff he talking about, bringing those numbers together. We could not only pay off the debt. Bring those numbers together. We could pay the debt off. But you're gonna have to make some. We're gonna have to get the government is the problem. The federal government is the problem. The people in that, if we just took everything that we're spending that doesn't benefit Americans and stop doing that. Now I know it's gonna be hard to get the defense contractors out our pockets. If we ship the migrants back, we stop funding these outside wars. We took our military and government resources and protected our borders. The government the government, we could run the federal government shouldn't even cost $1 trillion. The stuff we need from the federal government, you could get it for less than $1 trillion. Less than $1 trillion. So we only owe 35 trillion. So if you got a surplus of 3 trillion a year, just even if we take 1.5 a year, 1.5 a year, so 35 divided by 1.5, 23 years, no debt. 23, 24 years, no debt. Then if, as the economy continues to grow and we have more efficiency and more private sector development and growth and innovation and technology, our surpluses would increase and we probably could start paying 2 trillion a year, 2.5 trillion, 3 trillion. We probably could knock that out in 15 years. But it's the leeches, the entrenched oligarchy class who are in control of the elected politicians who fund all of this crap. This is what's keeping America poor. So they closely measure the growth of our economy and calculate how much more they can stuff into their greedy pockets and give us nothing for it. Give us 20 years of $1 trillion Afghanistan. We got nothing out of that. 100 more billion to Zelensky, which we get nothing. NATO. We don't need to be in NATO. Out of there. Let Europe worry about Europe. It's not impossible. It's very simple.
Because the interest doesn't buy you anything. All right, I'm not going to make you have to deal with some of these. All right, now here's where you light yourself.
Like I said, man. Why when Joe Biden show up to your black church, why he don't talk about this stuff? What Joe gonna say to the black people when he's courting them for? I mean, it seems like I go on my, talk to my people and talk to them about numbers, and they don't know anything. They go to them goddamn singing and dancing ass niggas. You're supposed to make a joyful noise unto the Lord, so we ain't mad about that, but let's see what they talking about. Old Joe. They king. The black folks king.
Today's his birthday. Faithful.
Impossible. So God, today we just say thank you. We thank you because the Bible reminds us that if we, your people, who are called by your name, show up, oh God.
She was here every Sunday.
As I pass along.
Damn, how the fuck did Joe Biden stay up that long? Nigga, I would have been asleep on all this shit. I want to just go in and say my speech and get the hell on.
Lord.
What y'all think old Joe gonna say? What Joe gonna say? You gonna talk about the deficit, inflation, goddamn deficit, the budget? What is Joe gonna talk about to these black folks? You don't know how to work a damn microphone.
Can y'all hear me? Yo. I've spoken before parliaments, kings, queens, leaders of the world. I've been doing this for a long time, but this is intimidating following. Incredible.
You ain't black.
And let's lay one thing to rest. I may be a practicing Catholic. I used to go to 7:30 Mass every morning in high school and then in college before I went to the black church. Not a joke. Andy knows this. Andy, it's so great to see you, man. You're one of the greatest we've ever had. You really are, Andy. Come on, man. Apartheid in South Africa and a whole lot else. They didn't want to see him coming. But we used to, that's where we'd organize to march or to segregate the city. My state was, like yours, segregated by law. We were a slave state, to our great shame. And we had a lot of leftovers of the bad things come from that period of time.
Racism. He talking about racism. He ain't talking nothing about no damn money, no budget, no taxes. He's talking about racism.
But anyway, that's another.
Niggas be leaving when Joe be talking. I ain't gonna stay on Joe too long, man. Y'all was interested in the guy, but when Joe came on, niggas left.
Time. But I learned a lot. And on this day of remembrance, as we gather here at his cherished Ebenezer, to his Freedom Church. And thank you to this congregation. It happened after World War II. It's happening again. The world is changing. There's much at stake. Much at stake. And you know, the fact is that this is the time of choosing. This is the time of choosing. Direct choices we have. Are we a people who will choose democracy over autocracy? The battle for the soul of this nation is perennial. It's a constant struggle. It's a constant struggle between hope and fear, kindness and cruelty.
What about the money? Hope, fear, kindness, cruelty, racism, Jim Crow, slavery.
Justice and injustice. Against those who traffic in racism, extremism, and insurrection. A battle fought on battlefields and bridges, from courthouses and ballot boxes to pulpits and protest. And at our best, the American promise wins out. At our best, we hear and heed the injunctions of the Lord and the whispers of the angels. Hope and love. And we are. That's the promise of America, where we should go. I ran for 3 reasons. I said I wanted to restore the soul of America. I wanted to rebuild this country from the bottom up and the middle out. And I wanted to unite it.
Rebuild the country, huh? We got the oldest, raggediest airports. I mean, I don't see nothing he built except for debt. Anyway, I can't listen to this nigga no more neither.
This nicely. Here's where I hurt people's feelings.
I want to hear the real. Give me the numbers. At least I can understand that.
Remember how a little moment ago I was trying to explain the primary drivers of U.S. sovereign debt? I need to update this board because the 30-year number was 116 trillion of borrowing, and that's from a year or two ago. Our best math right now is close to 130 trillion of borrowing over the next 30 years. So, you know, if you're still a decade from retirement and you think you're going to live another 20 years, you've got to understand the sort of dystopian level of what we're going to have to do to the U.S. dollar, to your savings, to those things. You don't think this is going to crush your retirement? How about me? I accept I'm an old dad, but I have a 20-month-old and I have an 8-year-old. Do they deserve to have prosperity? Understand, my little boy when he is 23 years old, I believe is the number, U.S. taxes, every U.S. tax has to be double what it is today just to cover projected spending. And that's baseline spending. That's no war, no recession, no pandemic, just baseline. So if any of you plan to be around here in 20-some years, are you prepared to have your taxes doubled? That's the math. I mean, I know this is a math-free zone, but at least some point I'm pitching to your self-interest. Do you care? And it doesn't have to be that way. There are solutions. But the hard part of this board is trying to explain to people 100% of the borrowing that's coming over the next 30 years. Medicare, if we backfill Social Security when the trust fund is gone in 8-9 years, and interest that we're paying on these. The rest of the budget actually has a slightly positive balance, meaning it comes in under its growth curve, underneath the projected receipts. And now we're going to talk about first understanding one of the key problems in our society, and then we're going to try to think a couple thought experiments. Can we be creative to understand the problem and be disruptive? What could we do to have a healthier, more prosperous society? Well, one of the first things you got to understand some of the things that are wrong here. The U.S. is an outlier in disease and disability trends. Or, for some reason, we are dramatically sicker than much of the rest of the industrialized world.
Because they're feeding us GMO, injecting us with mRNA, and we got the most hospitals. We take the most drugs. Everything, you know, this is why I don't go to the doctor. I don't go to the doctor because I don't want them to put me on a drug. I don't have health insurance because why pay into the system? I just rather not be in the system. Then when I do need the system, I just pay out my pocket. I'd rather just go to the doctor, just like I did with my teeth. I don't have dental insurance. Doctor said, hey, you want these pretty teeth? 14 racks. Here you go. Got my pretty teeth. Went on about my business. Go get my teeth cleaned. Pay out the pocket. $140. Go on about my business. That's it. You know, get the insurance company. I mean, I try to look. A part of my strategy is minimizing insurance. Because I found out they was canceling my insurance. And then because the insurance company that insured my house, they left my state. So now I go to my broker. He was like, okay, we get you another policy. It's double. I was like, nah. So I looked in the policy. Take that off, take that off, take that off. Took it off. We still got it down to less than double. I just went to another broker. He got it down, and then I raised my deductible. So on my homeowner's policy, which I'm not required to have, I own my house outright. I could go without insurance, but I say, nah, I ain't gonna do that. But I did raise my deductible to $10,000. Then that got me back to where I was at. So that's some inflation that I got to avoid by assuming more risk. So I assumed $10,000 more of the risk on my home, and that brought my premiums down. So if my house burns down, I just got to come up with 10 grand and then they'll cover the rest. I always got 10 grand. I don't need a $500 deductible on my house. So I accept a little bit more of the risk. So I got more skin in the game. And even on my cars, I only have liability. So that means anything that happens to my car is on me. So my car insurance payments is low because it would have been multiple thousands of dollars for these cars to get full coverage, and they both paid for. So I don't have to get full coverage. So the less financial people that's in your wallet, the more money you will have for yourself. I don't like to give these insurance companies, these bank interest receivers and all of them. I don't like giving them money. So I bought my car as cash. I paid off my house, saved about $100, I don't know how many hundreds of $1,000s in interest over the next 30 years. And then I'm not obligated to insurance companies, so I can change my insurance based on the amount that I want to pay and the amount of risk that I'm willing to accept. And I'm willing to accept more risk. So if anything happened to my car, I'll be on the hook. So what do? I reduce my risk. You're never going to see Lord Hybrid out in the city partying on Friday night and Saturday night when all the drunk partying people are out getting into accidents. So on Friday and Saturday night, I ain't in the city. I ain't out at night. I'm chilling. If I want to go out at night, I go Sunday through Thursday when there's less drunk partying people out. Go out, get a nice dinner, go see something or do something during the week when more civilized people is out. Go drive through your city. I don't know about your city. I know in my city, drive through there on a Monday night and then drive through there on a Friday night and see the difference. It's a lot different. There's a lot more risk on Friday night and Saturday night. So I have to move different to reduce my risk because I've accepted more risk. So I move in the daytime. It's things you got to do out here, or everybody's going to be in your pockets taking all your money. That you're going to be paid out all this money and you ain't going to have nothing. They going to have your money. I'm not giving them them jokers all my money. And I got money. I got more money than most people. But I don't like giving it to people who ain't giving me nothing. We'll take the risk off you. The risk will be on us. Then when you go try to file a claim, they're going to raise your damn premiums. They're going to fight you every inch of the way, and they're going to try their best not to pay you. I'm not giving the motherfuckers no money.
Okay, it's just math. We have the data. You're all smart, at least if you're punishing yourself enough to watch an idiot like me talk, you got to be either interested or not have a life. But somewhere here you understand here. There's something wrong in the US. We are sicker than much of the rest of the world. And the fact of the matter is, you just saw a chart that I was showing that healthcare costs are the primary driver of US debt. Okay, so let's actually walk through. So what are the good things? What could we do? What could we do to disrupt that? There's a couple of amazing articles from a couple of years ago for my Democrat colleagues who tell me how important taking on income inequality is. Really interesting abstract studies that sort of say, is it education? Yeah, that's a big play. Turns out health was it was actually above everything else in the disparity of creating income inequality. Urban poor, my tribal poor in a place like Arizona, rural poor. And you look at it, and when diabetes is 33% of all of our healthcare spend in America, why doesn't this place go nuts in trying to fix diabetes? Instead, what we did something that's absolutely absurd. So in the Inflation Reduction Act, they take $16 billion, give it to the very big pharma that they complain about that was gouging on insulin. At the same time, 75 miles from here, there's a co-op making 3 brands of generic insulin cheaper than the subsidized price. Why wouldn't we take a fraction of that money and put it into saying, we want competition. We want everyone battling to give us the best product and the best prices. I'm going to show a weird little technology just as part of the thought experiment. But instead, they subsidized the very big pharma that they complained about was gouging people. And then you crushed the competition and was trying to come in cheaper because now they can't compete against the subsidized price. This is the absurdity of this place. We need more of this. There's finally, you start to see the curve. There's finally, because of some of the breakthroughs in synthetic biology, we're going to talk a little bit about AI. The artificial intelligence is about to have a revolution in bringing cures to market dramatically faster. Dramatically faster. We've actually now had the first couple AI drugs designed to make it through the FDA. As you know, 6 weeks ago, we had the first genetic drug cure sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell. And what we learned from that technology, there's more coming. How do we make it possible that it doesn't take $100 million or $1 billion to bring one of these drugs to market when we now have the ability to crunch data in ways that we were never able to do before, to understand efficacy and safety and effectiveness? We could do it by policy. Is that Republican or Democrat, or is that just sort of joining into this century? This is a wonderful chart trying to just point out the capital markets are starting to spend money in places to cure people. I will argue one of the most moral things we could do, and one of the most powerful things we could do for U.S. sovereign debt, make Americans much less sick. Now, this is where I'll get some really nasty comments. Almost half, and I've brought the charts and the reports and the academic studies. So if diabetes is 33% of all spending, half of human diseases, so there's 3,000 plus human conditions, half of them are related to obesity. Do we think about things we could do in farm policy, in nutrition policy, in helping our brothers and sisters live better, healthier, more prosperous, ability to join into the labor force, maybe family formation, crushing income inequality? Is that Republican or Democrat? Yes, it will really, really annoy a whole bunch of incumbent business models that need sick people. But even they have souls. We're on the cusp of miracles. Why aren't we doing this? You know, poor health reduces labor force participation. This is an absurd chart, except for the fact this is from Goldman Sachs. And they were just doing this thought experiment. These semaglutides, which I think there's a generic one that's going to be here in May. There's a couple great articles if you want to go, use your favorite search engine about some small molecule versions that will cost dramatically less to make.
You fat bastards costing us $2 trillion a year because you sick. Back up off the cupcakes, you fat fuck.
And they're coming. There's going to be competition. The prices are coming down. These are these GLP-1s. But they were just doing the thought experiment of what would happen if all of a sudden we started to get healthier as a society.
I mean, discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. Doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. That is a great quote.
I want all the cars. I want all my niggas with the cars. I want all the hoes. I want all the jewelry. We popping bottles.
Stay the fuck away from these hoes, the dumb motherfuckers. Like, god damn.
You ain't black.
He has extra money, so he's, oh, sure, here, yeah, let me loan you this, let me give you this, because I've got more than I need.
Give my money, you cheap bitch!
There you go! Good job, man! Good job!
Come on, I got a present for you. Suck it! Suck it, nigga!
He's a fag.
What the fuck is you looking at?
Royalty, the Lord and the Emperor. Yo, bitch, she done already got taken advantage of. We been pimping her. I've been renting, stimping her, busting on her. I think I bust so much on her, I gave her pneumonia. She was trying to give me herpes. I told her, please, pass me that box of condoms. I got to put that over me before I go up in you. You know how I do hybrid, I'm keeping it true. 100% the realest. You could tell I really did it. You could see I really live it. Motherfucking big booty bitches running around in the penthouse with their asses all out.
Down, down, down!
follow behind the camera that I'm holding. I'm molding these bitches to be more devilish. Niggas is getting mad. It's real sad when you look at what he have and then you look at what you got and you be like, damn, I don't have much.
Not the broke nigga.
We don't claim you.
Not even a lot of hoes come through cause your place kinda funky and creepy and small. Man, get your old ass balls and get up off your drawers and go out there and make some money, nigga. Build your wealth. You ought to be ashamed of yourself with your broke ass.
I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke.
Go work for your master, niggas work for me and give me cheese. Nigga, it's a blessing to be this intelligent and effervescent with my mind shining way brighter than the fucking sun even shine. Y'all niggas need to put more time in trying to understand what the grind is. Y'all niggas was walking out here wealthless and mindless.
I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke. I can't eat.
Hey, Pookie, you clean yourself up, man. Maybe I'll give you a job.
All right, man. Yo, man, you wanna buy a turkey? You wanna buy a turkey?
SP motherfucking I.
Oh, wow. I told you this, nigga.
In business, the goal is for you to become independent and be the boss, take the responsibility, and also get the profit.
I ain't got no motherfucking boss.
SP motherfucking I.
Nigga got money.
I can smell a motherfucker with money.
I told you this, nigga.
We are better than you niggas. We are better than you niggas.
You ain't nobody.
We are better than you niggas.
You're so dumb.
We are better than you niggas.
You ain't shit.
We are better than you niggas.
You ain't shit.
We are better than you niggas.
You ain't nobody.
We are better than you niggas.
You're so dumb.
We are better than you niggas.
You ain't nobody.
We are better than you niggas.
Wow.
We are better than you niggas. We are better than you niggas. We are better than you niggas. We are better than you niggas.
You're so dumb. You ain't nobody. You ain't shit.
We don't claim you.
SP motherfucking I.
These niggas can't touch us.
But if you believe in God, believe in
SP motherfucking I.
believe in that for real.